The year was 1939. It was a time of great uncertainty and change, a period that would soon be marked by global conflict and upheaval. The world was on the brink of war. Nations were preparing for a conflict that would reshape the course of history. But from the pages of Detective Comics number 27, a new kind of hero emerged: Batman. This hero was unlike any the world had seen before, a dark knight who would become a symbol of justice and resilience. Created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger, Batman was a vigilante born from tragedy. Their collaboration brought to life a character who would stand the test of time, captivating audiences for generations. Witnessing the murder of his parents as a child, young Bruce Wayne dedicated his life to fighting crime. This traumatic event would shape his destiny, driving him to become the protector of Gotham City. He trained his mind and body to the peak of human perfection. Through years of rigorous training, he honed his skills in martial arts, detective work, and various disciplines, preparing himself for the challenges ahead. Donning a cape and cowl, he became a symbol of fear for the guilty and hope for the innocent. The Batman persona was more than just a disguise. It was a manifestation of Bruce Wayne's unwavering commitment to justice. Batman was unlike any hero that had come before. He operated in the shadows, using fear as a weapon against those who preyed on the innocent. He had no superpowers, no magical abilities. Instead, he relied on his intellect, his detective skills, and his physical prowess to combat the forces of evil. He relied on his intellect, his detective skills, and his physical prowess. His keen mind and relentless determination made him a formidable opponent for any criminal. Armed with gadgets and fueled by an unwavering sense of justice, Batman quickly captured the imagination of readers. His innovative tools and resourcefulness set him apart from other heroes of the time. He offered a darker, grittier alternative to the more light-hearted heroes of the time. This stark contrast resonated with readers who were looking for something different, something more complex and nuanced. From the very beginning, Batman's world was one of shadows and mystery. Gotham City, with its towering skyscrapers and dark alleys, provided the perfect backdrop for his nocturnal crusade. Gotham City, his stomping ground, was a sprawling metropolis plagued by corruption and crime. It was a city in desperate need of a hero, and Batman rose to the challenge. It was a world where the line between good and evil was often blurred. Batman navigated this moral grey area with a strict code of ethics, always striving to do what was right, even when the path was unclear. This dark and atmospheric setting, combined with Batman's unique brand of vigilantism, struck a chord with audiences. His relentless pursuit of justice despite the odds made him a compelling and relatable character. The early Batman stories were pulp adventures, full of colourful villains and daring escapes. These tales of heroism and danger captivated readers, drawing them into Batman's world. But they also hinted at a deeper, more complex character. Batman was not just a hero, he was a man grappling with his own demons, a figure of both strength and vulnerability. Batman was haunted by the death of his parents, driven by a need for vengeance that he channeled into his crusade against crime. This personal tragedy added layers to his character, making him more than just a masked vigilante. This underlying darkness would become a defining characteristic of the character, setting him apart from other superheroes and ensuring his enduring appeal. Batman's legacy, born from pain and forged in the fires of determination, continues to inspire and captivate audiences around the world. The 1940s marked the golden age of comics, and Batman thrived during this period. This era was characterized by the rise of superhero comics, and Batman quickly became one of the most beloved characters. His popularity soared, and he soon earned his own self-titled comic book. This was a significant milestone, as it allowed for more in-depth storytelling and character development. Alongside his trusty sidekick Robin, introduced in 1940, Batman faced a rogues gallery of villains that would become iconic. Robin added a new dynamic to the stories, providing a contrast to Batman's brooding nature. The Joker, a homicidal clown with a penchant for chaos, emerged as his archenemy. Their battles were not just physical but also psychological, adding layers of complexity to their rivalry. Catwoman, a cunning thief with a complex relationship with the Dark Knight, also made her debut. Her character brought an element of romance and moral ambiguity to the series. World War II influenced Batman's adventures. The global conflict provided a backdrop for many of his stories, making them more relevant to the readers of the time. He fought Nazis and saboteurs, reflecting the anxieties of a nation at war. These stories served as both entertainment and propaganda, boosting morale on the home front. These stories often depicted Batman as a patriotic symbol, fighting for freedom and justice on both the home front and abroad. His character became a symbol of hope and resilience. As the decade progressed, Batman's stories began to explore social issues. The writers used the character to comment on the societal changes and challenges of the time. He tackled corruption, poverty, and prejudice, reflecting the changing times. These stories added a layer of social consciousness to the character, making him more than just a crime fighter. This willingness to address real-world problems added a layer of depth and relevance to the character. Batman was not just a superhero, he was a reflection of the complexities of the human condition. However, by the end of the 1940s, the popularity of superheroes began to wane. The public's interest shifted, and the comic book industry faced new challenges. The Cold War brought with it a new wave of anxiety, and comic books faced criticism for their depiction of violence and crime. This period saw a shift in the themes and tone of comic book stories. Batman, like many other superheroes, saw his popularity decline. Despite this, the character's legacy endured, setting the stage for future reinventions and adaptations. The introduction of Robin, the boy wonder in 1940, marked a significant turning point in Batman's storied history. Dick Grayson, a young circus acrobat who tragically lost his parents to a criminal plot, became Batman's ward and crime-fighting partner. Robin's presence added a fresh and exciting new dynamic to the Batman mythos. The inclusion of a young sidekick significantly softened Batman's previously dark image. He became a mentor and father figure to Robin, showcasing a more compassionate and caring side. The dynamic between the brooding, serious Batman and the youthful, optimistic Robin resonated deeply with readers, particularly younger ones. Robin's presence also allowed for more light-hearted and humorous stories. The duo's adventures often involved outlandish plots and colourful villains, appealing to a much wider audience. This shift in tone helped to maintain Batman's popularity during a time when superhero comics were facing increasing scrutiny and criticism. However, the introduction of Robin also sparked considerable debate. Some critics argued that it undermined Batman's inherently dark and gritty nature. Others questioned the wisdom of involving a child in such dangerous vigilante activities. Despite these criticisms, Robin remained a beloved fixture in the Batman mythos, becoming an integral part of the character's enduring legacy. Section 4. Holy Camp Batman, the Caped Crusader on the small screen. The 1960s saw Batman burst onto the small screen in a live-action television series starring Adam West. The show, simply titled Batman, embraced a campy, tongue-in-cheek tone that contrasted sharply with the character's darker comic book origins. Batman was a pop culture phenomenon. The show's bright colors, over-the-top action sequences, and humorous dialogue captivated audiences. Catchphrases like "Holy Batman" became part of the national lexicon. While the 1960s Batman series is often remembered for its campy humor, it also introduced the character to a whole new generation. The show's popularity led to a surge in Batman merchandise, comic book sales, and overall awareness of the character. However, the show's campy tone also drew criticism from those who preferred the darker, more serious Batman of the comics. Some argued that the show trivialized the character, reducing him to a mere caricature. Despite these criticisms, the 1960s Batman series remains a cultural touchstone, fondly remembered for its unique style and lasting impact on popular culture. Section 5. Darkness Falls. A return to Batman's roots. By the 1970s, the campy tone of the 1960s Batman had waned in popularity. The bright, colourful, and often humorous portrayal of the caped crusader, which had been a hit with audiences during the 60s, began to feel outdated and out of touch with the changing times. A new generation of comic book creators, influenced by the darker, more realistic storytelling of the time, sought to return Batman to his roots as a brooding, psychologically complex vigilante. These creators were inspired by the noir and detective genres, aiming to infuse Batman stories with a sense of mystery and moral ambiguity. Writers like Dennis O'Neil and Steve Englehart crafted stories that emphasized Batman's detective skills and his status as a creature of the night. They delved into his psyche, exploring his motivations and the trauma that drove him to don the cape and cowl. Artists like Neil Adams and Marshall Rogers brought a gritty realism to the artwork, depicting a Gotham City plagued by crime and corruption. Their illustrations were darker, more detailed, and reflected the grim atmosphere of the stories. This return to Batman's darker roots resonated with readers. Fans appreciated the more serious and mature take on the character, which felt more in line with the original vision of Batman as a dark avenger of the night. The character's struggles with his inner demons and his unwavering commitment to justice in a corrupt world felt relevant to the social and political climate of the 1970s. The era was marked by political scandals, social upheaval, and a general sense of disillusionment, making Batman's battles against corruption and crime particularly poignant. The 1980s saw this trend continue, with writers like Frank Miller exploring Batman's psyche in greater depth. Miller's work was characterized by its dark, gritty tone and complex characterizations, pushing the boundaries of what comic book storytelling could achieve. Miller's seminal work, The Dark Knight Returns, presented a dystopian future where a grizzled, aging Batman comes out of retirement to battle crime in a decaying Gotham City. This graphic novel was groundbreaking in its portrayal of an older, more cynical Batman, and it challenged readers to reconsider their perceptions of the character. This groundbreaking graphic novel redefined Batman for a new generation, paving the way for the darker, more realistic portrayals of the character that would follow. It set the stage for future interpretations in both comics and other media, influencing everything from animated series to blockbuster films and solidifying Batman's place as a complex, multifaceted hero for the ages.